Hello, Tyler.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, Tyler. Good morning. Leon Hendricks. I'm a reporter from Channel 8. We're recording this, and I'm reaching out to you just because, obviously we've been reporting on what happened in your case, and I think it's important that we speak with you and get your side as well, so that we're fair to you.
Sorry, who are you again?
I'm
I
sorry.
just woke up.
Oh, that's okay. Good morning. Sorry to wake you up with a stranger here. My name is Leon Hendricks. I'm a reporter from Wood TV. We've been reporting on the situation involving your case.
Okay.
We're recording this because we want to give you a chance um, to really tell folks who you really are. I'm of strong belief that people shouldn't be defined by the crimes they commit, and I wanted to meet Mr. Tyler and get an idea of who you are.
Okay.
So, what do you want people to know about you? And I mean, you've been charged with murder. Do you consider yourself to be a killer, as they would say?
No, I was lied to. Buddies of mine called me and said to come pick him up. I went to the address and picked him up. Then all of a sudden they jump in the car with rifles and shotguns and start giving me demands on what to do. And my wife and kid were at, you know, they were being threatened, and so I pretty much had no choice but to drive where they, what they said to do, because the guy that actually pulled the trigger and stabbed the guy had informed me that there's people on the outside that have no problem killing my wife and my 1-year-old daughter.
Oh my goodness.
I grew up in a church. I have, there's, I, never touched the guy. And when the guy come out and I seen him, I panicked and took off because I didn't want anyone getting hurt. So I just basically got stuck here with guilty by association, even though I had no idea it was going to happen that way.
Do you feel like you deserve to be locked up?
No, the only thing I want is to get out of here and get back to my wife and daughter. And like there's I grew up in a church, I'm a religious guy, and there there's no way I would have done anything like this. They lied to me from the very beginning, and that's pretty much what I'm stuck
So,
in.
so you were driving.
Yeah.
And what you said they lied to you? What did they tell you?
Um, they said that they gave this guy a loan a long time ago, and they were just gonna go talk to him and basically let him know it's time to start paying his loan. And when they had gotten out of the vehicle, they didn't have any firearms or anything. And I found out that, through the grapevine, I found out that they actually had the weapons and everything else stashed in the woods. And everybody's trying to say that they went in dressed in military outfits and this and that and the other. But the truth is, they were actually dressed in their normal clothes, and I had no idea what was going on.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So, did you actually go into the house?
No. No, didn't go into the house. I didn't have a gun. I didn't even touch the guy when he came to the vehicle.
So did they bring him to the vehicle?
No. He came running out of the house, and when I looked over, I could see that he was bleeding profusely from his chest and his sides and his backs and everything else. And I panicked because I really didn't want the guy to get hurt. And I just I didn't want anything to do with the whole thing. But at the same time, my wife and kid were at risk of, which they're still at risk. I've got them out hidden right now because there's friends of one of the guys that are actually actively looking for them, and I've been informed that they have no problem killing a baby. My daughter is just over a year old. She's like a year and 2 months now.
Oh my goodness.
And if it wouldn't have been for them, then I'd have just give the guys a finger and said, kill me on the spot because I'm not doing shit. But out of fear for my wife and kid, I had to do it.
Did you know Brent?
Who's Brent?
Brent Luttrell, the man who was killed?
No, I've never seen him before in my life. I didn't, I haven't seen any of them. I didn't see any of the people in the house. I didn't see anything. All I know is
So
he comes running out, and then that's the first time I see him, and he latches onto the side of the car, and I panic and try to take off because at that point I'm like, what the fuck? I don't want nothing to do with any of this.
What was he saying anything when he got into the vehicle?
He never got in the vehicle.
Oh, I guess I thought you guys drove him somewhere.
He latched onto the side of the vehicle and I panicked and took off. And he held on and all the way down the road and then around the corner, and then he fell off.
Was he saying anything?
He was just saying that he'd been stabbed and shot, and then he asked me, hey, take me towards the hospital, which I've never been in the area before. I didn't know which way the hospital was. So I did the best I could to try to figure it out, and before I could even put two thoughts together, the guy had already fallen off the edge of the vehicle dead.
So by the time, the shooting and whatnot actually happened inside the house.
Yeah, from what I understand, the guys, when they were inside, they, from what they had told me, they shot the dog and they shot the guy 5 or 6 times in the back. And then when the guy tried to fight back, then he got stabbed.
Why did all this happen? Because he was fighting back? Is that why?
Basically, if the guy wouldn't have fought back, then nothing would have really happened. They had actually lied to me, and I was under the assumption that he owed them a lot of money, and they were just basically going in there to set him down and talk to him and tell him that it's time for him to start making his loan payments. And
why do you believe that was a lie?
Because if that's all they were gonna do, the guy wouldn't be dead. He would be, he'd be alive today, right now. And the honest truth is, I live that nightmare every night. And
you never seen anybody die.
No, that's one of the reasons I'm here, and I'm on suicide watch. It tears me apart. Grew up in a Christian family, never been far from God. And if it wouldn't have been for my wife and daughter, then there's no way.
So you didn't feel like you could have stopped and stayed with him and helped him?
No, there was no way. By the time he fell off the vehicle, he didn't move.
Did you guys stay with him for a time?
No, I couldn't. I was under the threat of, the guys basically gave me the threat through a walkie-talkie, and the ultimatum was, you come back and get us, or we're going after your kids next.
So you had to go back and get the guys who had done this.
Yeah, and as soon as I pulled up to the house, Jay jumps in and sticks a reloaded rifle in my face and says drive, and he tells me to drive around the house and honk the horn and stop and wait for the guys, and then he gives me all these directions on getting out and going wherever.
When you say Jay, you mean Jamon?
Yes.
So him saying he had nothing to do with this, that's BS?
Yeah, he's the one that actually stabbed and shot the guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How do you know that?
Because after we zigzagged through a few roads, he made me pull over so he could throw the murder weapon. And it's in some field somewhere off 10 Mile.
Do you know if police found that?
I don't know. I don't think they did. I know I know that there's not really much of a way that they're going to be able to find it until the farmer or somebody is running their crops and accidentally comes across it.
Did you tell them where it was?
Yeah, I told the cops that it was in a field somewhere. I couldn't tell them exactly which one.
Mm-hmm.
It was...
You didn't ride back out there with them, or they didn't have you ride back out there with them or anything?
No, there was never any return to that area after that.
So after this happened, did you call the police or do anything of that nature?
I couldn't. They knew exactly where I lived, and they told me if whoever squeals gets the same thing.
But you knew already at that point that this guy was dead?
Yeah. There was...
What would you say to this guy's family if you had a chance?
If I had a chance to, I would show up on their doorstep with a great big bouquet of flowers, ask them to take me to the grave as I would explain everything that happened to them. And I'd do anything to try to help that family get through it. There's no way. I'm not this monster they're making me out to be. I didn't want anyone getting hurt. Didn't know anybody was gonna get hurt. And when the guys even, when I was taking the guys up north, they weren't dressed any different. They were dressed in their normal clothes. I don't know, they didn't have the guns on them. And from what I've been told through the grapevine from the other people is, they had everything stashed in the woods that were near the residence, and then supposedly they geared up and then did their thing, and then I got a phone call saying, hey, we need you to come pick us up. It didn't sound anything suspicious. It just sounded like, they got stranded or something. Mm-hmm. And so under that assumption, I picked him up, but then afterwards, I still couldn't say anything, even though I've tried going through my head multiple ways to figure out how to basically turn those bastards in. Because there's the only other guy in there that doesn't deserve to be there is Kevin, and he's the other guy that was kind of lied to.
Okay, I'll be talking to him next. Did he go into the house, Kevin?
Yes. He was forced because he's also got a girl. I don't know if he's gonna go into that much detail with you, but basically everybody that had a family or was starting a family was being threatened, and there are still people out there. I've got my wife hidden, my daughter hidden. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I get out, or if I can get out, and if I can, get off of this parole and whatnot, my wife and I are heading back down to South Carolina with her family to get as far away from this as we can.
What about Isaac? What was his role in all this?
He's actually Jay's legal brother. Jay was, Jamon, but we call him Jay. He was actually adopted a long time ago by Isaac's family. Okay. And he had previously gotten out of jail for a home invasion charge.
Right.
Yeah, and from what I've been told, he's the one that that got the back door opened up. He's the one that shot the dog and the guy and stabbed the guy when the guy tried to fight back.
Who's he?
Huh?
Isaac? Are you talking about Isaac or Jack?
Jay's the one that, he actually broke in and did everything, and Isaac was just a pair of hands for intimidation, I guess.
I'm trying to figure out why a guy like you is friends with guys like this.
On the outside, Kevin and Isaac, they're not bad guys like everyone's making them out to be. Isaac's one of those guys that likes to sit around his Xbox and play video games all day and then wait until he falls asleep and then get up early and go to work. And Kevin's the same way, and so am I. And then it was all because Jay came in and had a good idea. I'm sorry.
This all was Jay's idea?
No. The job was given to Jay through Zach, which is.
You call it the job. What do you mean by that?
That's what they called it. They called it a job, and their job thing was that they were just gonna go and scare the guy into making his payments. Basically, they weren't even supposed to be breaking in. They were supposed to go knock on the door or wake the guy up and then actually set him down and talk to him, just like a regular meeting. At least that's the assumption they had me under.
Was the idea that everybody was going to get some of this money?
No.
So you were not planning on being paid for driving them out there and everything?
No, they all I was getting out of this is they were gonna put food in my cupboard so I could feed my family.
Okay.
And that was if the guy starts making his payments after a couple months.
So you don't believe this really had to do with money?
I'm not sure. I know the guy owed some of the guys that would, like Isaac and Jay. Apparently they from what they had leave me in the assumption under is they gave him a loan a while back, like over a year ago, and
so you think that part was true?
I'm not sure. I've been lied to by them multiple times. And like I said, the only one that hasn't lied to me is Kevin. And I also believe Kevin shouldn't be in here either because Kevin and I used to go to church together. And
what about Chris Duncan? People are calling him sort of the mastermind of all this. Is that what you believe?
Who's Chris Duncan?
You don't know who Chris Duncan is?
No. First time
He's another one that's facing charges? He wears the big white glasses?
I've never heard of Chris Duncan before in my life.
Okay. But these other guys, so there was 4 of you guys that went to the house?
Yes.
Do you believe that everybody who was involved in this has been... Wait a minute. Are you saying... Was Zach at the house?
Zach was not at the house. He was going to be, but he decided that getting drunk and having sloppy sex with his girlfriend was going to be more fun that night, which I envy him for that. He had plans and and the only thought I had going through my head was being able to feed my family and being a father is the only good thing I've ever done with my life that I can be proud of.
Well, yeah, that's an important thing, man, and obviously you'll have to, explain this to your daughter someday.
I finally got to see him last night.
Oh, through one of these visits? Yeah, man, you seem like you're too young to be in a place like you are.
Well, I'm 25. I've been married for 4 years, and I finally had my first kid. My wife told me if I wanted a kid that I had to quit smoking, and I did.
So there was some talk that this was all about a girl of some sort. Do you know if that had anything to do with this?
I know from what they've told me that um, or that they tied up a couple girls that were at the house. But other than that, that is literally all I know about that.
So this guy, I mean, some of his last words were pretty much asking you for help.
Yeah, and that was my original intent. I was gonna, if I would have had any clue on where I was even at or how to get to a hospital, I would have thrown him in the back of the car and you know, every cop that would have been flipping his lights out had given him the finger until I got to the hospital. I didn't want anybody getting hurt. I didn't want nothing happening. And
Was he screaming? Was he vibrantly alive at that point when he was asking you for help?
when he come out of the yard being chased by Jay, and he runs around the car and jumps on the edge and at a full sprint. And as he's running, I could see the gashes in his chest and like right under his sternum. He had a huge gash, and I could see one on his side. And I could see all the little holes in his back from when when Jay was shooting him. And all I could think of was, oh my God, I gotta get this guy out of here. But before I could get him out and far enough away from the guys where I could safely get him and put him into the car, he'd already fallen, and when he fell, I looked back and he didn't even get up. Then
So you had a feeling he was dead.
I knew he was dead. He went down and he didn't move. And
Man, oh man.
when he was on the side of the vehicle trying to talk, there was bubbles coming from his mouth. So at that point, I had known that when he had gotten stabbed, Jay, I knew he had gotten a lung. And then that's when I panicked and threw the car in reverse, went all the way back to the road, and then went back to go pick up the guys because they were still threatening me that they were going to come after my family next if
When you say threat, were they calling you on the phone, or how were they threatening you at that point?
a two-way radio, walkie-talkie.
Okay. So you guys had radios for this whole plan here.
Yeah.
What was this car ride back like? I mean, were you guys?
They were all.
Did you freak?
Oh well, when I say they, I mean Jay and Isaac. They were all excited, and their adrenaline was pumping and everything else. But Kevin and I were sitting off to the side of the vehicle, bawling our eyes out because neither of us wanted this to happen. And then after everybody dispersed, I sat down for a few minutes with Kevin, and we just cried together.
Man. And now here you sit, facing a murder charge, possible life in prison.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add? We got about a minute left.
I don't know. I just want to desperately get out of here and get back to my wife and daughter.
Anything you would say to someone who finds himself in a position like yours?
Get your family and run like hell.
All right. Well, I'm sorry I had to meet you under these circumstances, and wish you all the best.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.